this video, I'm going to show you how to draw a state machine. For this state machine, we're going to create a little game. In this game, we're going to press the buttons red, blue, and green in a specific order, and at the end, if we get it right, we'll do a little victory dance on the LEDs. If we get one of the steps in the sequence wrong, the red LED will blink. If we get one of the steps in the sequence right, the green LED will blink. So we're going to first draw out the state machine for this little game. Now we get to draw our state machine. The first thing we want to do is define our inputs. As you can see, I already have them written down. We have the red button, the blue button, and the green button. Then we want to define our outputs. For that, we have the red LED, the green LED, and then what I'm calling victory LED. So that's going to be the red and the green flashing. All right, so our first state we're going to call init. Now, we got to define what happens when our inputs are registered. So if we press the red button, nothing should happen. Well, something should happen, but we'll define that when the outputs happen, or when we define the outputs. But for our purposes, red, no state change. So that's what I mean by nothing should happen. Now, what about if we press the blue button? Well, the sequence we're trying to define is blue, red, green. So if we press a blue button, we want to move to a different state. So that's what happens when we press a blue button. Next, we want to find out what happens if we are in a init state and we press a green button. Well, the same thing as red. We don't want to move to a different state. We want to just stay here. Now we need to define our outputs. So in this machine, the outputs are dependent on the inputs. You'll learn more about this in a later class. So if we press red or green, we want an output of red LED because we pressed a wrong button. So red LED. But if we press the blue button, we want an output of the green LED. So we'll put green LED. Great, we've defined our init state. Now let's do our next state. So we'll call this one right. Let's do the same thing. If we press the red button, what happens? Well, in this one, our sequence is blue, red, green. So we move to the next state if we press the red button. If we press the blue button or the green button, what happens? Well, we don't stay in the same state. We got one wrong, so we actually want to go back to the beginning. So if we press the blue button or the green button, we go back to the init state. Great. Now we got to define our outputs. Again, if we press the blue button or the green button, we want the red LED to flash, but if we press the red button, we want the green LED to flash. All right, there's our second state. Let's go on to the third one. So this one we're going to call 2 right. That means you got 2 right. Congratulations. So again, our sequence is blue, red, green. So if we press the red button, we got one wrong. We want to go back to the init state. Red. Now what about blue? Same thing. We go back to the init state. Green, we move to the next state. So this is if we press the green button. Now for our outputs, if we press red or blue, we do the red LED. If we press green, we do the green LED. Now for our final state. This one we'll call 3 right. And if we get 3 right, it doesn't matter what our inputs are. because we won. So all we needed to find here is our outputs. So anytime we enter the 3 right state, we want a victory LED. And then any input, no matter what, or even without inputs, we go back to the init state. We'll just do all. And that is how you draw a state machine. Now we get to move on to coding this. I hope to see you in the next video.